Marla Picklesheimer, representing the Historic Society in Longwood, and we are here to continue talking with Jean and Lib Bothell. Lib's lying down right now, so we'll go to Jean directly. Last time we were here, Jean was just getting into a little bit of the history of his military, and we ran out of time, and so we didn't really get to follow up on that too well. So I'm going to ask Jean to tell us a little bit of his military experiences. He talked about, I believe, on a ship. Are they British, or what are they? New Hebrides?
Well, they were, the island we were on was, they raised the coconut palms there.
Yeah.
And it was, it was belonged to both the British and the French.
Okay, yeah. Kind of thought so. But
that's the first time I heard the word condominium.
Oh, that was the first time you heard that word.
And that it was considered a condominium between the French and the English.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, I know that my husband was on board ship, but for a brief time, because it was just for transportation to get to where he finally got to, which was Guam.
Oh, yeah.
And then he was land-based and there for some time there. So he didn't actually stay on board ship for any period of time like that, with any island hopping that way.
I spent some time in Guam too, but it was after the war was over.
Oh,
In my baseball time, I spent a period.
Oh, when you were an umpire in the
Yes,
baseball.
yeah, we taught. We had a baseball umpire school, and I was the head instructor in that. And that's when we went to Guam to teach American GIs.
Is that right?
Yeah, because they had terrific baseball programs.
Well, they like baseball there. It's a beautiful place too, isn't it?
Yes.
Very pretty place.
Can you tell us about the invasions, each of the invasions that you were part of?
Well, being in the field artillery, of course, we never were the first in. We always went in after the original assault on the islands. But I remember on one occasion, we got in the landing boats, and we ran into some my mind is skipping.
That's okay.
We were running into some underwater places that kept us from going in the boats.
Oh.
And we had to, some reefs.
Yes.
And we had to get out and walk in.
And go in the water and get
I waded through water up to my chest till we got into the island.
I remember they used to have what they call LSTs.
Yes.
Which were for
yes.
men to ride on to get, then it would open this big
Yeah.
flat boat with
an LST would hold an entire battalion.
Oh my goodness.
Of field artillery.
Uh-huh.
And we would put dunnage on the floor, put all our vehicles and our guns on that, and then of course we would be in an entire battalion of men would be in the LST too. And when they could, they'd just run up on shore and open those doors and unload.
And there were 5 different invasions that you were part of?
I was in 5 different invasions, yes. Yeah.
Would you name the islands again?
Yeah. Kwajalein, and we talked Tinian, Saipan, and Okinawa.
And you would take one, secure it, and then move on to the next one?
Well, we would take one and then go back for a rest and training period, and then go to our next invasion. Now, Tinian was the island that we took that they wanted to base the planes on that were going to drop the atom bomb.
And that's what they did do?
Yeah, they based the plane. The planes flew from Tinian to Tokyo or to Japan to drop the atom bomb.
Were you there when they did that?
No, I was in the invasion that took the island. We didn't know what we were invading it for, but that was the idea. And I was in Okinawa when they dropped the bomb, And we didn't know it for, well, after a week after they dropped it. Most everybody outside of us knew, I guess. Back here in the States they knew. But we didn't know it till about over a week later. And we were just a very short distance from there.
Did they not tell you for a reason, do you think? They just didn't tell you?
Carolyn's brother-in-law, of course, was in on the original work on the atom bomb.
John?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you know what he did?
Well, no.
He
doesn't-
helped develop the bomb.
He,
Yeah.
they were working on developing the bomb.
In New Mexico.
In New
He put it
Mexico.
together,
He
yeah.
started out in Chicago, I think, and then they
Mhm.
took him to White Sands, New Mexico. But he doesn't talk much about it.
No, he doesn't really doesn't want to talk too much about
He
it.
doesn't talk too much.
He's a physicist, and that's how he got his education at Cornell. And so he went with GE, and then he got on with this program, and that's how he served his time in the.
He told me they were with another group in Chicago, or he was with a group in Chicago, and then they was working on it. Then they transferred him to White Sands, and of course it was a big hush-hush deal. And when they were surprised when they got out there that the house that they were quartered in, the gal seemed to know all about what was going on.
Was that what was called the Manhattan Project?
Yes. Yeah.
And he was actually part of that.
Good for
Yeah.
you, Marla. That's
Yeah.
right. I heard that, but I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So how many years were you in the Pacific altogether?
Well, about 2.5 years. I was in the service 5 years altogether during the war.
Were you in the service when the war started, or did you?
Yes.
You were already in the service.
Yes. Yeah. At that time, they had a draft, and I went in May in the draft, and because you could go in, get your year over with, and then get back out. But
Everybody had to do that, Marla. Yeah.
Yes, they had a regular draft. But then I went in May, hoping to get out the next May, but then the war started.
And it was December, right?
December, right. Yeah.
December 7th.
And I went in as an enlisted man, then went to Officers Candidate School and got an officer's rating in the field artillery.
So what was your rank?
You graduated from school as a second lieutenant, and I only got as far as first lieutenant during the war then. In the field artillery in the Pacific, needless to say, we didn't have many openings that you could advance a lot. We didn't lose that many men in the field artillery.
What exactly does the field artillery, for those of us who don't know, what is it?
Well,
what does that mean?
Those are the big. Those are the guns. Like a 105 is a 5-inch gun. That's a mountain gun, and that's what I was in. And then there are larger ones from that on up.
They're the initial support, as he said earlier on.
So
they have the guns and they go
105s
first.
were initial supports for the infantry, yeah. And we supported the Marines a lot.
Now, when were you hurt, or how was it that you got the Purple Heart?
Well, I was up with the infantry as a forward observer. The battalion would send men up as forward observers to control fire up with the infantry. And I was up with the infantry, and we went through a banzai attack. And I was hit with shell fragments.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a regular artillery shell exploded close to us, and I was hit in the arm.
Banged up pretty badly, huh?
No,
Not too badly?
No, not too badly, no.
Marla may not know what bonsai is. She does
That's what I was
know,
going to
probably.
ask. Would you explain?
Okay, I just wondered if she knew that expression.
Do you explain what a
That's a
bonsai
Japanese
is?
know what it
expression.
is.
I think, but would you
Yeah,
explain it for us?
Yeah. Well, that's the Japanese would have these violent attacks, and they called them bonsai attacks. That's where the bonsai came from.
It was, I thought, a suicide type deal where they
Well,
usually
actually,
sacrifice themselves. Those
well,
soldiers.
yeah, but that's true. They did a lot. If they thought that to be killed in combat, you would go.
It would be an honor.
Well, yeah, and you'd go to their heaven with
Yeah.
with the emperor when you after you die, and they were very, very peculiar people. Very.
But you had not too much air traffic. You had mostly shell fire when you were in this combat.
Well, except when I was some of the time I was an aerial observer. The field artillery had Piper Cub airplanes. Each battalion had 2 planes, and then one of us would be assigned as an aerial observer to go with the pilot. And then if we were controlling fire from the plane, that's what the
So you were in the plane.
yes, we flew with the pilot.
I was wondering that when you said that about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you're an aerial observer, then you control the ground fire from the airplane.
So you sent back information to people on the ground
Yes,
to shoot.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And quite a job, and really scary because you're one of the first ones to even, reconnaissance, you might say.
Well, yeah, you're up there with just a frame with some canvas on it,
Mm-hmm.
and of course the people in the ground are shooting at you.
A Piper Cub is not a real sturdy-looking
no, it's
airplane
Did they
anyway.
build little airstrips for you to take off and land on?
Oh yes, they had. Well, we'd take over Japanese
Ah.
airfields. That would be one of their big aims when they would win on these invasions, was to get the airfield right away, and then we could have our planes come in, and then of course the Navy could use the airfields too.
I know Fred said they were right up on top of the mountain, one of the mountains there in Guam, right up on the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So if they got any leave at all or any chance to go to town, they had to walk and walk and walk down the mountain and then quite far to get to town. But
Well,
they didn't get much leave anyway, so I don't think it.
I was only ever in one city after in my outside of my time in the Hawaiian Islands. When we were in combat, I was only in one city on Saipan.
Saipan,
Yeah, and
got a pretty big city.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
it's a big city, isn't it?
yes. Tinian, there was a town in Tinian called Tinian Town, and that was a fairly large city too.
When you invaded, did you take Japanese prisoners?
We took very few Japanese prisoners because they would rather die than give themselves up.
Yeah.
But we did take some prisoners, and you saw very few of them because they were like a bunch of rats lived in the ground. And you very seldom saw them.
So did some of them just disappear into the hills and you didn't see?
Yeah,
Some of them
in
were-
the caves.
Where
Yeah.
Fred was, there were snipers in the trees.
Yes, yeah,
They
well,
just
yeah,
stayed in the trees.
and they would get in the trees too. And
Yeah.
snipe,
What about the civilian population? Were they
Oh,
supportive or?
Well, most of the islands I was on, but they were really not Japanese. The Japanese just took the islands over, and they, of course, there were natives on most of the islands.
So they were more or less supportive to the American troops?
Yes. Yeah.
Mostly Polynesian or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, the natives of the islands were supportive of the American forces.
So you enlisted for a year,
I enlisted
thinking
for a
you would
year
get out, and then
got
did you
stuck for 5.
re-enlist, or they just
No.
extend your? They
No,
extended.
when the war started,
Was it? You were automatically.
I
So you
just
were-
was
you were in.
automatically
You were in.
Extended for the duration.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Do you remember the time leading up to Pearl Harbor? Do you remember what you were doing at the time of Pearl Harbor? People usually
Yeah,
think they
it
remember
was,
that.
of course, on a Sunday, and we were out. I was in the Hawaiian Islands, and we took the trucks out, and we're doing our training and stuff. And when we got back in, that's when we found out that they had raided, Pearl Harbor. Yes.
So you were actually in Hawaii, but not at Pearl
Yes, I
Harbor.
was in Pearl Harbor, or in Hawaii.
But not at Pearl Harbor.
No, I was further up in what we call the saddle. It's between two mountains, and we were up there in training.
Hawaii's a very pretty country. I love it.
Very, very.
I really enjoyed it being there. I would like to go back, but it's extremely expensive cost of living there.
Yeah.
Everything's very high.
Well, during other times when we'd come back to the Hawaiian Islands, we would stay out by about a mile from Waikiki Beach. Not a very nice place.
No, it's good, huh?
Too much coral in the
I was
in
just
the water.
going to say there are a lot of rocks in the
Yeah,
water.
a lot of coral.
And the water's cold compared to our Florida beaches. I was
Yes,
surprised to see how cold that water was. I was
Yeah.
disappointed.
Yeah.
And a lot of rocks hurt your feet. So, not a good place.
But now on the other islands in the chain, there are some really pretty beaches.
Now, when you were in school, high school, you were still in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And then you graduated from high school, and how did you come to Florida? Because of the umpire school?
Yes.
And then you met Liv, as we mentioned
Yes.
before on our other
Yes.
interview. And we really forgot to continue on with Liv and her. What we should give her credit where credit is due. She was secretary. I was hoping after we got talking with you some today that we would get back to what she did and you did after you met, and when you were going together, she became secretary of the. There was a place in Castleberry where they made harnesses, ropes, and parachutes. She worked there for how many years?
Oh, just a short
Over time?
Christmas period, yes.
Okay, I remember for some reason that she was there, but I don't remember the name of the place. I couldn't think of it the other day. But it was Castleberry harnesses or ropes or something that they were doing.
No, yes, but that, and I can't think
And then
of
they
it.
had parachutes because of the war when they needed to make parachutes.
Oh no, she wasn't.
No.
She wasn't there.
No?
No.
Well, I remember
She
that
was-
she was
she
secretary
just,
there somewhere in that area for a
Yeah.
little while in Castleberry.
Oh, I can't think of the name.
And then she went to SCC, which
Yes.
we now call
Well, she was secretary.
College.
She was secretary at
at
Lyman.
Lyman before, that's right.
And then she
And she was the doggone good one too, because
Yes.
I was teacher there when she was secretary.
And then she went from when Mr. Milwee went from there
Yeah.
and to the.
He was my principal 1 year, Raven.
Yeah.
And then he moved to this college.
Yeah, he moved
And
to
she
college.
went with him, didn't she?
Well, later
She
on,
and several.
later
Oh, okay.
on, she gave him, or after she was ill, and I made her quit, give up her schoolwork and her work in Castleberry, and then Rayburn took her up to the. When she got better, Rayburn took her up to the college.
And how many years was she at SCC? It was a long time, wasn't
Oh
it?
gosh, yes,
A long time she was up there.
over 20 years. Probably.
And she made a lot of good friends at SCC and still has some of those friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you meet her very quickly after you left the service, or did you go back to Pennsylvania?
Well, when I got out of the service, I went back to Pennsylvania for a while. Then I went to this baseball umpire school, and then got a job there as an instructor. And when we were at the Naval Air Station in Sanford, but then when the Korean War started, we had to leave there, so we came to the hotel in Longwood, and Liv would work in the evening sometime up there, and so she would wait tables on the.
Okay,
Yeah, we've got some of that before on the
it was the
other.
Korean War that made you change, the
Yes,
school
from-
changed from the Naval Air
from
Station.
the
to-
Naval Air Station to
Yeah, and I was under the impression that that building up there where they have the Mission Tribes, whatever, was a place for the baseball school, but you said no, That was my mistake. They were never there, were they? The
We-
baseball school.
Well, we had the baseball school in one of the buildings, but the place was rented by a religious organization.
Yes.
And we rented space from this religious organization.
What they call the New Tribes Mission. That's what they call it now.
Yes.
New Tribes Mission.
Yes.
So they were actually there a little bit. You were there at one time a little bit.
Yes.
I was right.
And of course, then they had to leave too when we got out because of the Korean War.
And you came out here to the Longwood Hotel.
Yes.
And
How long was it in the Longwood Hotel?
Oh, about 6 years.
Was it someplace before it was in Sanford also?
Yes, this Major League umpire, George Barr, he started the school in '35. And then in Arkansas.
Oh.
And what's the big vacation spot in Arkansas?
Oh,
Branson?
Branson.
No.
No,
Lake of the Ozarks?
Little Rock.
No, it's a, oh gosh.
I was in Arkansas, but I can't remember now. A long time ago.
But anyway, he was there 1 year and then he came to Orlando. And then he came from Orlando out here. And I went to school here after they came out here. And then I was with the school for about, maybe 5, 6, 7 years.
As an instructor.
Yes.
Do you remember where it was located when it was in Orlando?
No, I don't. I can't recall where he was.
But after you were an umpire, is that when you became a mailman, a postman?
Yeah, I umpired professional baseball 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah, and then Lib and I got married, and then I got out of umpiring, and because I never got out of the minor leagues, and I just needed a better job, and
Yeah.
so then I went to work in the post office.
Which post office? Longwood?
Long.
No,
No.
I started in Sanford, and then came to the Longwood post office for a very short time, and then went to Maitland. And
Yeah, Maitland is where
Yes.
you mostly work.
And I retired from the Maitland post office.
Do you-
And I've been retired now from the post office longer than I worked here.
Maitland must have been a very different town when you were.
Yes, it
Working
was
as
a
a-
different town.
Yeah.
Well, they all were very different towns. Even
Yeah.
then, even though
Yeah.
we thought we were modern then, we thought we were really
Yeah.
growing.
In '56, when Lib and I married, we lived a year in Castleberry, and I said to her, we got married, do you think we'll ever live to see it built solid from Orlando to Sanford? And we did.
Yes, you certainly
You
did.
did.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of growth in this area. It's amazing. It's hard for people to believe or realize. I was just going to talk with her a little bit about her experiences at the college, and any names of any people she could think of. Of course, Dr. Weldon was the president,
Yeah.
and she worked for Rayburn Millway.
Yeah. Well, she didn't work with Rayburn. Rayburn was the assistant to the
Yeah,
president.
to the president.
And she worked in purchasing.
Okay.
She went to work in purchasing. And Don Nicholas was her boss in
Nicholas?
purchase. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might know his
I
wife.
think you met him.
Now, are there any other names you could think of people who worked there at that time, when she was there? That I know one night we were out here at the house having a little party, and there were a lot of them on the porch,
Oh gosh.
and they were all kind of congregated together out there and sat there and talked about the college, and they were a little group of their own there for a while.
And then when when this racial thing sprung up, and they finally hired Afro-American who became her boss at school. Very nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of Roy King.
Roy King.
Yeah.
Does ring a bell, I remember that, yeah.
And he
Very nice.
Yes, he was. And he became head of purchasing then at the college.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the only one left now that we worked with that still works for the college.
Yeah. What was that young man that Lyd liked so much? It was a younger fellow. She was making over him and talking about how sweet he was. And she said he'd been so good to her, a younger man. I think had black curly hair or kind of dark hair. I can't remember his name. I just remember that she just really liked him a lot. But I don't remember the names of very many other
Well, then
people.
she worked with Don Nicholas, who is now
Yeah.
the executive.
George Milwee worked up there on campus. He was
Yes.
helping out with
Yes,
helping with the
George went to work up there.
because his dad was there, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, yes, his father got him the job, and
Yeah.
he went to work on the maintenance crew.
Maintenance is what I
and
thought
then
it
he
was.
eventually took over maintenance.
He did take it over finally.
Yes.
I've been thinking about getting in touch with George or Tom, one or the other, to get some information on their parents since they're now deceased, the Rayburn and Aldia Millie. And I haven't
I'll have to give
called.
you. Did I give you his phone?
I have a number. I got it yesterday out of the phone book. I think
Yeah.
it's the right one
Yeah.
to call Tom and
Yeah.
Judy.
Yeah.
And I'll talk with them sometime.
Yeah.
But I remember when they were kids, well, when Tom was small, that he used to come visit you, or you would see each other.
Yeah, George and Tom were almost like nephews.
Yes.
To live and I.
And George was born very close to when our Walter was born. They were
Yes.
almost the same age.
Yes.
They were both born with just within a month or two of each other. Aldia and I were both expecting at the same time. And they went to school together
You
all those 12 years. Although then when they first started, well, no, not all 12 years. That's Fred. But when the boys came along, George and the kids. By that time, we had some elementary schools
know. Yes.
in the county. And I remember now that Walter went to Castleberry, I believe it was one of the first elementary schools built.
Yes. Yes.
And then he went to a little private school in the church down at the Methodist Church for a while with Pauline Stevens.
Yes.
And that was his kindergarten really. And then he told me he wanted to stay home with me because he had to help me with the baby. And he knew I was expecting, so he quit kindergarten and wouldn't go back.
Oh, gosh.
So, but that was one of the, then we started getting elementary schools then built each year or so. They built a new one on. Now we have like 30 or more or so, I think.
Yeah.
26 of the last count I had.
Liv's daughter, Lynn, and Liv herself went to Lyman for the full 12 years.
Yes, and I was going to say Walter, but that's not right. He went to Lyman later, as did the others. They all went to elementary schools, different, but
At that time, there was Lyman was a high school and a high school in Sanford and
Oviedo.
and a high school in Oviedo.
And those were the only ones.
Those are the only three.
Yeah, as
high
far as we know
schools.
right now, that was all we had for high schools.
Yeah.
And they all went back, if they were in Longwood, they went to Lyman.
Yeah.
So they had,
Yeah, everybody from right around in this area went.
and we had what was called junior high school, which is now called middle school.
Yeah.
Started later then.
Yeah, after they built the new Lyman,
Yeah.
then
Then they built
or they took over as the element.
they really tore down most of the old Lyman school.
Yes.
Yes, and I remember that because I was the teacher there, for 1 year. The fact that they had to choose a name, I thought was interesting. So some of us, entered Rayburn's name. Elder thought she was responsible because they named it Milwee School, and she was telling me one day, Elder Nichols, how proud she was that they named it because of her suggestion. And I said, well, I also put his name in the pot. I said, there's no telling how many people put his name in the pot because they were quite well known in Longwood.
Yeah.
And the Milwees go back because of her mother, Mrs. Levine, who lived in Longwood, and then I presume that Algie was born here. She was a native of Longwood, but I'm not really sure. I know the Levines were living here.
She was. Algia's mother came from, I think she came from Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Where?
Canada.
Canada? Okay.
his mother.
I have a lot of pictures with her in it, you know,
Yeah.
with the women's club and different
Yeah.
groups. And so I knew she had been around for quite a while before I came here. And when I was inducted, you might say, because I had to be, into the women's club, because I had to. When I came here, was married to Fred, I immediately had to join the women's club. That was something you did not do, you had to. And Fred's mother and his grandmother were charter members. And Mrs. Levine was right in there in those pictures.
Yes.
So I thought maybe Algie was born in Longwood, but I wasn't sure.
No, I don't know that she was, but I'm pretty sure her mother came from Canada.
But she came and told me one time how she adored Mr. Weisslein. And when they would have these dances at the Women's Club building, she was considerably younger than he, but she would always ask for a dance with him because she liked him so much. And he was quite a ladies' man, Mr. Weisslein, Fred's father. And so she really liked the Weissleins, and we always had a close relationship with them.
Yeah.
And we went to the same church, of course, as you did.
Yes.
And we all...
Yeah, I can remember Fred's father
Yeah.
and his squaws.
Well, it was a nice time for us in Longwood because a lot of old timers were still here, and we made friends easily, and everybody was nice and friendly and good times. You know, we were poor though, but we're not so very poor. But we were having to work awfully hard, raising our families.
Do you remember things that caused big changes in Longwood, like maybe the building 1792 and things like that?
When Lib and I got married, we of course rented a house over in Castleberry, and 1792 was just a two-lane road at that time.
And that was 1956.
56.
But it was a road, it was already built.
Oh, yes.
Do you know when it was built?
They were working, when Lib and I married, they were working on widening the road at that time.
This was the main thoroughfare through here, Dixie Highway.
Yeah.
What's 427 now?
No, Ronald Reagan was the main highway then.
Yeah.
The 420,
Yeah.
427.
Yeah,
Right?
427.
But the Dixie Highway was here, right?
Yeah,
That was
what's
427. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
There's a little patch of it right here.
yes, yeah. That was at that time. There was no 427 or no 1792.
Right.
This
That's what I was
was the
saying.
main road from Jacksonville to Tampa, right here in front of the house.
The Dixie Highway.
Yeah.
But that's wasn't the same as, or was part of it the same as Ronald Reagan?
Well, 427 is Ronald Reagan. That hasn't been
Very long.
Very
But what
long.
she's asking is, the old Dixie Highway is what is now 427.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
Well, 427 is this road right out here.
But was that different from the road that runs right in front of your house?
Well, that is 420. That is 427, and they renamed it Ronald Reagan.
And this used to connect with the rest of 427, the road right in front of your house?
Well, the road came all the way from Jacksonville and come up here and went in front of the house, and it was all Dixie Highway, and it went. I don't know where it went. It went down through Maitland to Orlando, but what is now Ronald Reagan was 427.
Right. Now, and this was not ever part of 427, or it was?
This was 427.
Okay. And
This was the Dixie High. This road in front of the house was the Dixie Highway. That white part out there is part of the original
brick.
Dixie Highway. It was 8 feet wide from Jacksonville to St. Pete and Tampa. But this this was the Dixie Highway right here in front of the house.
Right.
Let me go get that thing.
Well, how long was Lib at college? Do you think, do you remember how long she was up there as one of the secretaries?
She was there about 20 years.
I kind of thought it was something like that. I
Yeah.
knew it was quite a long time.
Because I remember Don Nicholas became her boss in 72, and he was not her first boss. There was another guy who was her boss for a couple of years.
Frank Gore was also up there, working
Yes,
up there.
Frank Gore was there, yes.
But I can't think of any others besides Mr. Weldon and Rayburn and Lib and Mr. Nicholas. I can't think of anyone else. You can think of any of the names?
I can remember some first names, but I can't think
Yeah.
of it.
And when they started the college, it was on a very small scale.
Yes.
We just had one or two buildings. And,
Yeah.
see how they've developed now. Now they're a state school now,
Yes.
calling it Seminole State College, right? Is that what it's going to be called?
Rayburn told me one time when he was getting ready to retire, he said, Gene, he said, I'm thinking about retiring, but I've got me a job when I retire. And then he told me that he was responsible, for the college coming here.
He was.
And he
Yeah.
hired Dr. Weldon.
So it was, he did that, most of that,
He-
not Dr. Weldon himself,
yeah,
but actually
Yeah.
Rayburn.
Yeah, Rayburn did that so he would have a job after he
Yeah.
retired
Well, even though Tom and George are younger people, not yet retired and not one of us old folks, I thought it would be good to get them, on an interview because they could tell us about Rayburn and Elliot and how they met.
Yes.
He was in the Navy when they met,
Yes.
as I understand, and
Uh-huh.
she was teaching school, and
Yes.
somehow they got to know each other. I'm not quite how he came here. He was from Olapaw, I know that.
Yes.
Little tiny town of Olapaw.
Well, he came up here then to teach.
Oh, that was it. He came to teach.
Yes.
Yes, I believe I remember that. I believe I knew
Yeah.
that. Yes. So they got acquainted and they dated, finally married, and very active in the school system. And
Then he became county superintendent.
yeah, and Mr. Weisslein was a school board member for
Yes.
19 years, and then Fred became a trustee for 3 years. They don't have trustees now anymore, but they did at that time. So we were all active in the school system, and as it turned out, Tom decided to become a teacher too. George didn't, but Tom did. George got into construction, as I understand.
Yeah, he
didn't
worked for.
Yeah, so when I try to get them an interview, we'll talk some more about what they did and their jobs and
I
they're
can't-
doing now.
I can't think of what company George.
Me
worked
either. But he married, her name is Barbara, a sweet
Yeah.
little girl, and they have some children. And then
Well, her,
Judy and Tom,
but George worked for his wife's father.
okay, oh yes, that's right, I did know that.
Yeah.
And then Tom and Judy don't have any children, but Tom became a principal at Lake Brantley, was it?
Yes.
And I guess he still is. I don't know if he's retired yet now.
No.
He's still
They're-
still
no,
principal.
They're retired.
They are retired
Yeah.
now?
Yeah. Both.
I could call them during the day, in other words.
Oh
maybe,
yes. Yes.
Rather than wait till nighttime to call.
Yeah.
And see if they can get us an interview with
They
them.
do a lot of.
They're
time.
younger, but since we don't have their parents around anymore, they have a real history in Longwood because Mrs. Levine goes really far back, as I said. And it's interesting how people go by and I see their feet.
Yeah. Yeah. But
And also other people, like I mentioned before, I'm going to write some letters. I sat down today and composed a letter of what I want to say. And I'm going to ask if they're ever going to be coming to Longwood. And if they are, would they please get in touch with me and be willing to do an interview? And I'm thinking of Pat Blankenship. I'm thinking of the Paynes.
yes.
And anyone else that we talked about before I put on my list that lived here at one time.
Do you have the Payne's address?
I have their address, you
Yeah.
gave it to me.
Yeah.
And who else could you think of that I should contact? I probably have it down, but I didn't bring my list. I found my list, by the way, Marla. I had lost that list I found. Also, I've already called June Lorman, and going to interview her, and because she was the mayor at one time,
Yes.
and her son was the mayor, Jim, and her husband was the mayor. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I was telling Marla about that because they were an unusual family, and that three of them in one family were all mayors of Longwood at one time. And I was going to try to find out if there are any other mayors around, but I think most of them are gone.
Yeah, Elgin is dead.
Yes.
Dirty Valley.
Grant's gone.
Grant's gone.
Other elders, or saying elders, that's church. Other mayors, if any are around, I'd like to try to get in touch with them. But I am going to send some letters and try to get these people who are Longwoodites who have moved away. And then today I thought of the Scots. Now, I don't know much about the Scots. I know that Glenn is still around.
I don't know.
He lives somewhere around here. But when he died first, then she died. Bud died, and then she died while the children took over, but Harry moved away.
Yes.
So I should write Harry, but I don't have an address for him. But maybe I can
Harry
get one
lives
for
up
Glenn.
the country somewhere
He went
in Lyon.
Georgia or somewhere? Oh, really? Well, I thought it was further north. I didn't know.
I
I'll try to get in touch with them. Can you think of anybody else that I should, an old timer or anybody that comes to
Well,
mind?
who are the people that own the property right across the railroad up here?
Across the railroad.
The first place after you go down past off the main street here and go down Church.
You mean the Whiteheads?
No.
No, I've already gotten in touch with her.
They own that big piece of property right on the other side of the railroad up here.
I can't think, Gene. I don't know why I can't think of that.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
know why I can't think of his name.
Well, I'll try hard to remember it. Maybe it'll come to me.
But I think.
I could ask John.
Yeah, ask John.
John would know.
John will know. Yeah.
John has pretty good still memories of a lot of where people lived. And he knows that these little streets and these little houses, he still knows where a lot of them, who lived in which houses.
The house,
He knows, I know now, he's told me where Hetty Arnett used to live.
yeah. Yes.
And she lived to be, wasn't she
Yes,
like
she was,
close to 90 before she died?
she was quite old, yeah.
And you're 90 what now? What did you tell me?
95.
95?
On the 26th of September.
Yeah. I think she was probably 90 or close to it, maybe. Anyway, John seems to know or remember where a lot of people lived in these little houses.
Lynn seems to have
Yeah, I think
pretty
she
good-
might remember too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I was going to ask her if she was up today. I was going to ask her about that and get some more names and ideas of people to contact. And what about the Poloians? They actually grew up in Oviedo, but they went to Lyman School.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Well, that's
Lucy and I don't know. Maybe
no,
they
I
did go
don't
to
think
Lyman
Lucy didn't go to Lyman.
because they did have a high school in Oviedo.
Yeah.
Poloians would be someone to interview.
Yeah. Well, now the only one that's I think the only one that's living is Lucy.
Well, Billy died, but Gladys is living.
Oh.
And then
Yeah.
there's John, the brother, and
Yeah.
his wife Carlene live over here on
Yeah, they live on the
the
lake.
lake.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't seen them in ages.
I probably wouldn't ask them for an interview because they never seem to be in that group of people who.
No, they were. I don't know. They never seemed to be
Old timers,
old timers
like the rest of
like
us.
the rest of us. Yeah.
But I did have my list right out there, and I thought I was going to bring it, but I don't think I did.
Yeah, I never knew Johnny very well till we were on jury duty at one time, and that's when I really got to know him.
Were you on jury duty?
Yeah, they say that you only get called once or twice. I've been called 5 times
Really?
for jury duty.
Oh.
But now see, once you're 70 years old, you don't have to.
Well, you must have been in a different precinct from where I was to go to vote, because I don't remember ever seeing you
Well, where did you work?
where you were working, but I was having to vote. I went up to the Nazarene Church after so long, you know.
Yeah.
First we used to just go to the city hall, everybody did. And then Longwood got too big, and they had divided us up into precincts, so we had different places to go.
Now we voted to City Hall.
Okay, that's right. That's where they used.
We got a card the other day.
And the old City Hall, speaking of that, I don't know if Marla knows, that was a little schoolhouse at one time,
Yes.
and that was where Aldi and Millie went to school,
Yeah.
and John.
Yeah.
And they only went for like a year or two, and then it was, I guess Lyman was built in 1926.
Yes.
And so there might be, besides John, I doubt there's anyone else left
No, I
that
think
ever went to that school.
I think Fern Whitehead was in the first.
Yes, Fern.
She was in the first graduating.
Well, she was at Lyman, the first graduating class from Lyman.
Lyman, yes.
We're going to interview her, but she had decided to wait till her son gets back, and she's gonna.
Yeah.
We're going to do her soon. We're going to talk to her soon.
Now she
And-
has a daughter, but
Nancy.
Nancy. Yeah.
Nancy lives at home with her now. Lives with her.
Yeah.
She's retired.
From what
So we're going to try to get them in.
I used to see her. I used to see quite a bit of Nancy, but I don't see her.
Well,
much.
I asked if Spencer could come and if Nancy could come, and she said she would try to arrange that
Yeah.
so that we could talk, because she was a little bit shy about it, and she wasn't sure she wanted to do it. And I think that would help if they were there and they help her remember things.
But we haven't seen Fern in those.
No. She's good. She's very, very sharp.
They tell me that
No
she
problem with her memory whatsoever.
Yeah.
And she's told me her age, and now I've forgotten it. But it's 90 something.
Yeah, she's quite.
So we're going to try to get her interviewed soon.
Yeah.
Anybody else you can think of, Jean? By the way, the City Hall, thinking about that, I was going to say, that's where some lawyers are now across. And one of them went to school with my Johnny, my younger son.
Was that an elementary school first?
It was a little old school, little two-room schoolhouse, first through 8th grades or whatever it was when Allie and John were little. And that was a long time ago.
And they moved it down to where Millwee is now. Did they provide
They didn't move it. It's never been moved.
No, not the building. The school.
The school.
Did they provide transportation, or was that walking distance?
You have to be within. You have to be away. You don't get transportation if you live within 2 miles.
So
It's
that was
same
walking distance.
Yeah.
But I think, well, Lynn rode the bus to school.
Okay. Maybe they made exceptions. Maybe I'm wrong. That's the way I was.
Well, no,
remember.
I think Lynn rode the bus to school.
Yeah.
From
Okay.
here?
Yeah.
She grew up here, right?
I haven't asked about Lynn because I didn't know if Lynn wanted to talk about it too much. So we're not going to.
We don't.
We're not gonna,
Well, we don't know anything about her.
Okay. It's just turn it off. Okay, we were going to be talking about some of the people in the area
Now,
next that we wanted to try for you to
we
remember.
mentioned the North.
The North.
She had it all.
Yes.
That's June and. What's the big town up towards it?
Can't think of the name of the town where she lives, but I know that
Big city up
you've
towards.
been up there.
Yeah, up towards Alabama.
In Florida?
Georgia.
Oh, in Georgia.
Yeah, in Georgia.
Atlanta, Macon,
Savannah?
Savannah,
No, it's a Florida city.
a Florida city. I don't know if I ever really knew where she lives exactly.
Lake City?
Lake City.
Oh, that's where my cousin lives.
Yeah, Lake City.
Maybe they know each other.
It's
I've never even
possible.
thought about that.
But now Mary Emma lives in a little town kind of southwest of
Okay.
Lake City.
Well, that's a good drive. That's quite far to
Yeah,
Lake City.
yeah.
That's about 2.5 hours or
Yeah,
so, isn't
yeah,
it?
easy.
Because Lucille came, my cousin, for Fred's Memorial. And they drove down and back in one day, which surprised me. Because of her age, she's just 3 months older than I am. So I was surprised they would do that. But didn't seem to bother her. She's still,
Well, anytime
doing well.
when Lynn lived in.
Carol.
Who else?
10 minutes.
Time?
10. 10 minutes. On the
5
tape.
minutes?
10.
10 minutes.
When Lynn lived in Jacksonville, we'd go up one day and come back the next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've done that too, but it is quite a drive.
Yeah.
We don't have much time left. She was just telling me that we don't have but a few minutes left, Jean. So, besides the Norths, can you think of anybody else that we could get in touch with or try to talk to? And someone who's been around or was in Longwood a long time ago. Mostly old timers is what I really want. Because I'll be talking some more with the other people. And I know Pat Blankenship, I keep mentioning him, but he went to school.
Mac McKeever, I don't know. He hasn't. They lived over here for quite a while.
I don't think I knew them.
I don't think you did either.
Okay. I'm trying to think of my list. I wish I had it here with me, but I will look at my list when I get home. But if you think of anybody, would you let me know?
Yeah.
Anyone else that you can call me up and just tell me
Okay.
you just thought of somebody. And I know we've talked about the Paynes and we've talked about several of these people before. And I'm going to either write them or call them.
Hey.
And if I can't call them if they're out of the town, well then I'll write a letter, provided I have an address. You get Christmas cards from a lot of people that you don't hear from otherwise.
Yeah,
I do, you know.
Yeah.
I get Christmas cards when I don't get anything else all year. So maybe you'll have some Christmas cards that will have addresses on them, and or you can remember them and think of them, people. And I'm just trying to go over it because I think we're almost out of time. So we thoroughly have enjoyed talking with you today. Appreciate all the information you've given us and help.
I did feel that I gave you too much on my...
No, and I think probably a lot of people do not realize the intensity of World War II. When they come on the news, they say, we have 81 dead now, and it's maybe, you know, for all this period of time that we've been over there in Iraq, and not to belittle it or put it down exactly, but 81 really doesn't measure up to what we were going through with World War II.
Yes.
Literally, people just killed by the hundreds, you know. It was a terrible, terrible war.
Yeah, I read in the paper here not too long ago that the Air Force in Europe lost more men than the Marines did in the Pacific fighting in World War II.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Air Force in Europe
You know,
lost more men than the Marines.
they lost more men than the Marines did. You know that during World War II, they sent to Romania, to the oil fields, they sent 30 planes, 30 bombers there, and I think they lost 10 of them.
Yeah.
And that was, I forget how many people, a crew of
Yeah, it's a crew on each one of those.
Yeah, and we lost 10 out of the 30 planes.
Do you remember Hickson and Betty Jean Eldridge?
Oh, yes.
Well, he was a pilot on one of those big B-24s or one of those big planes.
He was
17.
He was in one of the raids on the Palestine oil fields.
Yes.
And they were shot down on the way back.
He would probably have a lot to tell about World War II, but not so much about, although they lived in Longwood considerably long time after they came here.
Well,
but they're back in Tennessee now.
Yeah, he was shot down, and I guess his whole crew survived the crash.
And he was the pilot, so he was quite...
Yeah, and the guy
one of my best friends.
The guy who ruled Albania, was it Albania, got them and sent them back to the...
Oh, okay.
To the,
well, I just talked with Betty Jean the other day, and they're just doing just fine.
Good.
She said, we're fat and happy and sassy up here.
Okay.
That's the way she talks, you know, she's so southern.
Yeah.
And they really are enjoying it because Roberts lives right there, you know.
Yeah.
It was his house that he gave them. Then he built another one next to them. So they have Robert and his family there, and all these, she has 11 grandchildren, I think, now.
Oh.
Something like that. Tremendous. And one great-grandchild. And they're just loving it. He always loved the mountains and always that part of the country.
Yeah.
I never could get him over the beach. Every time I tried to get him over there to condo, he wouldn't. He didn't have any interest. I thought we were through.
Oh, we got 5 more minutes. I've got another tape.
Okay, but I would like to talk with them. Probably should, even though they were not what I call old timers in Longwood. they came when their children were small. I'm not really sure exactly when they came along.
I can't.
And the Hammonds.
Who?
Hammonds.
Oh, the Hammonds.
Now
yeah.
that's another family. See, they were here longer.
Yes. They
Lena.
had- the old man and old woman had
Yeah, Lena and what's his name, Mr. Hammond. Well, I'm sure I could find it.
yeah. They
In all
owned,
these clippings.
what was it they owned? They owned their business was
You know, I can't think right now what he did. But I have all the Women's Club scrapbooks and books and albums that they used to have. I have all that. I'm going through it now.
and you have that all at home.
Yes.
You don't have anything.
And
with
so
it.
I could find out what his name was and
Yeah.
something about him maybe, but anyway. All the old timer get-togethers. I have pictures of you talking with Mr. Grant at one of
Yeah.
them. I have snapshots.
Yeah, we used to have that old timers.
Yeah, the old timers reunion was very popular.
Yeah.
Well, we certainly have enjoyed it, Gene, and thank you
Well,
again
I'm
for a second time.
yeah.